I can see from your birth date that you're very, very early first wave volunteer. I don't know if you know about Dolores Cannon's work, and she talks about the waves of volunteers that arrived here on this planet from other star systems. You were one of the very first ones to arrive. You're from a different you have an alternate star origin. You're not from this solar system originally. You came in very early on in this century. Let me explain how that kind of why that happened in the timeline that it did. Things on Earth has kind of been going kind of awry for quite some time, and it's been noticed by the galactic councils that Earth hasn't really been evolving and shifting as quickly as it should. So, and then there was the world wars that occurred. World War I was bad enough, but then we had World War II with Hiroshima. That really concerned, pretty much the entire galactic councils of all the universe, or at least within this galaxy, because they were concerned that Earth people were going to blow themselves up like Maldek did back in the early times of this solar system. Maldek was a planet that was located between pretty much Jupiter and Mars. It's where the asteroid belt is now. Well, the asteroid belt is actually the remnants of that planet. What happened on that planet is there was warlike beings that lived there. They were constantly fighting with each other, and then they blew themselves up. And I think the few souls that escaped came here to Earth, and now it's like the whole process is starting all over again here on Earth. Where we're having constant conflicts, a lot of duality consciousness here, a lot of wars. And when Hiroshima occurred, that really put, pretty much, all of the Galactic Federation and the Galactic Councils on alert that, okay, something had to be done. So they were asking for volunteers amongst all the star people, to come and assist Earth with this ascension, to get the energies here back to where they need to be so that Earth can continue to evolve like it should. Well, there was quite a few star people who volunteered to come here. I'm one of them. Duano's one of them, and you're one of them. Okay, so you and I are considered more first wave volunteers. We're the ones that came very first. The ones that came in very first were the ones who were the much more experienced souls. We were the ones who have done this kind of work in other star systems multiple times, so we're more like this, what we would call the spiritual warriors. Okay, we're the ones that are busting down the doors of ignorance and dogmatic control, just throughout the civilizations here on Earth. I mean, there's just our society. There's been so much that's been happened in the last few centuries that it's just gotten to the point where things had to shift and change. Now, what I'm getting particularly with you, it's interesting because what I'm getting with you is your origins were slightly different. You didn't come from Lyra. You came directly from Andromeda Galaxy. And then you had multiple incarnations in the Andromeda constellation. So, and that's where, but you're still part of the same soul family. So your lineage is more Andromedan, and pure Andromedan at that. So very first origins was as etheric soul. You were part of a oversoul group that when first split off from Source, did not go to Lyra, but you went directly to the Andromeda Galaxy. Andromeda Galaxy is beyond a portal. So there's a portal that takes one to the Andromeda Galaxy through Antares. Antares is a star that's in the Scorpio constellations. So you at some point you went through Antares, but Before that, you were located as part of a group consciousness in the Andromeda Galaxy. So these were beings who weren't even really in physical form. They were, doing much, much higher level work, working, with creating stars and planets and things like that. So this, you were more part of a group consciousness at that point. Now, throughout your development, as souls, we always want to try to express ourselves individually at some point. So when you got to the point where you were ready to break it off from the group consciousness, you decided to incarnate into physicality in the Andromeda constellation, which is a different location than the Andromeda Galaxy. Okay, so what I'm seeing with you is that you went directly through the Antares Stargate. So you spent some time in Antares. That was in just getting yourself used to being in physicality. Of course, we're talking, higher density. Okay, so even then, you weren't in third dimensional bodies. You were, likely, just in some sort of crystalline or light body form. So I think you were working yourself from light body into a crystalline body type. So from there, I see that your very first incarnation was in I would say Alpharaz, which is the main star that's in the Andromeda constellation. And then from there, you started building connections with other souls that would become part of your soul family.
Other members of my family, in which direction? My siblings, children?
I would say more your children. Maybe a couple. How many siblings do you have?
I have 6.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Are you the youngest or the oldest?
I'm the oldest.
Oldest. Okay. I'm seeing 2 of your siblings are also part of your star soul lineage. And I think it was maybe 2 of the younger ones. Not sure which ones, but yeah, they're telling me only 2. So the rest of them are all Earth souls. And that's pretty common with families. A lot of times you'll have a mix of Earth souls and star souls. So now with your children, I'm seeing all of them are star seeds. So yeah, all of them are star lineage. What I'm getting initially in that lifetime is initially they're saying you were somebody that worked with high level energies. And the work that you did was you're strengthening the grid systems in that particular constellation. So you were doing, very broad-based environmental, like kind of like intergalactic environmental work. I mean, just strengthening, I think, some of the protection, protective shields and things like that was built around, certain stars in that system, to protect it from outside invaders. Now, because Andromeda was located so far away, they were able to develop they were highly advanced race, and they were able to develop quite quickly throughout their spirituality. So a lot of this work you did wasn't even really done physically. It was done mostly through, mental thought and, just high level psychic abilities. So this was, so it wasn't even, I mean, you had starships and things like that, but a lot of the work you did was was energetic and not, physically. There wasn't any mechanics involved with it, unless it was, very, very high level technology, however. But I'm getting in consequent lifetimes in Andromeda. You were definitely part of Galactic Federation. You were higher level officer, so you were always in kind of a commanding role, and you were sent off to do quite a bit of kind of some outreach programs or some space exploration, trips to different star systems. And that was where you got a lot of your experience in dealing with different star cultures and different societies and things like that. You were constantly interacting with other beings, and so you were more or less, you were an officer of a starship, but then you were also, doing outreach programs with these different groups. You've had a lot of interactions with the Pleiadians. I see that. You have quite a few with the Arcturians as well. So, like I said, you're very experienced in dealing with different groups of star peoples. And so, when it was coming time for all of us to assist with the Earth Ascension project, many of us who've been doing this work for quite some time were the first ones selected to, incarnate on Earth during this timeline. Now, that's not to say that you didn't have prior Earth lifetimes, because you did. When you took on this project, you knew it was going to be a multi-lifetime commitment. So what I'm seeing with you is incarnation in Atlantis. So you've had, as a matter of fact, that was your first incarnation on Earth. Many of us, I think, came in through Atlantis, either Atlantis or Lemuria. I'm seeing Atlantis for you. Again, I see you in Atlantis. You were doing some sort of now, have you ever worked in construction or done any kind of building type of work, or
That's what I do.
that's what you do? Okay.
All my life, yeah.
Okay. What I'm seeing in Atlantis is that's when you were a builder. You were building, helping to build these great cities that were on the on the coastline of the continent, and also out into sea. So I'm just seeing you able to. That was your first incarnation where you were actually working with physicality, okay, where you were doing, physical type of work. And I think you enjoyed it. You enjoyed the, creative aspect of it, and just the satisfaction of being able to manifest something physically, that, something that may have started off as an idea and then became actual physical form. So so I do see that that was, pretty much, I think, the work you chose to do throughout your various Earth incarnations, and there was several. I also see an incarnation in Egypt. So during that time, you were an engineer, and you were assisting the building of some of the great monuments that you see in Egypt today. And I don't see pyramids of Giza. I see more of the, like, the tombs and, some of the other buildings that were located that were monuments. The pyramids, I don't see that you were very connected with that, but I do think you had a hand in some of the great monuments, and in building, those things as well. Another thing I'm seeing too is, yes, from there you had incarnations in Babylonia, and I'm seeing a few lifetimes kind of in the Middle East area, which is interesting. Um, and then from there, I see European incarnations, a lot of incarnations. I see one in Greece, not Rome, but in Greece, which is interesting. And then I see several throughout Northern Europe. And again, I am seeing incarnations where you were either involved in the military or involved with building. Okay, so that's kind of been, and I think the reason why you decided to have these choose these lives was to have an idea of what it was like to be in physicality and not, highly spiritual like you were in Andromeda. So you were trying to get a very much a sense of. Also, I think part of it also was to establish, um, or being able to be a way shower for other folks or other men especially. You were trying to show other men that you could be involved with very masculine oriented work, and be, be a man's man, so to speak, but also embody your spiritual side as well. So being able to combine, divine masculinity with the divine feminine. So that's always been, I think, your soul's purpose throughout your various incarnations here on Earth. Now, you didn't have a lot of incarnations. I'm actually seeing just a handful, really. Maybe 10 or less. You didn't incarnate on Earth. You have very much a star quality to your aura. So I'm not seeing, really heavy connections with Earth. I think, you've had Earth lives, you've enjoyed your Earth lives, but maybe some of them more than others. But now I do see an incarnation. Your very last incarnation before this one was actually, I think, in World War One, or maybe even, yeah, I think it was World War One. Actually incarnated in the UK. I'm seeing you were fighting in World War One, the Prussians, and I don't know what that was, that what Germany called themselves back then. But you got killed early on in that lifetime. I'm seeing also, because your life was kind of interrupted in that lifetime, you decided to incarnate back into the same location. So you're back here in the UK again. So because you felt like you didn't get an opportunity to complete what you were supposed to be doing in your last life. What I'm getting with you as far as this lifetime is this is your apex lifetime on Earth. So this is where you've come to complete your work. And after this lifetime, you are not staying here on Earth. You're going back to Andromeda. So, I do see this is the last lifetime you'll spend here on Earth, which should make you happy, right? So I don't know, maybe not, uh, but yes, you will be heading back to resume, I think, your prior role in Andromeda, and continuing the work there. Now I do see incarnations. Yeah, it was either military or construction or some sort of building, or engineering. So that's pretty much what I'm seeing as far as your past lives. Do you have any questions for me so far?
It is way out there, but it's not something I can't relate to.
Okay.
The way you describe how I have been is how I am.
Okay.
In as much as that even though I'm a builder, that's what I've done most of my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I still am.
Mm-hmm.
I still work in construction in a small way. I work more closely with people now.
Mm-hmm.
That's my role now, working more with people.
Right.
And the heart connection, mostly with men.
Yeah.
And to show women that they have power that we have suppressed for so long.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's my main role. And I've had a dream for a couple of years that to set up a centre here,
Mm-hmm.
and it becomes closer and closer to the point where it's manifesting already behind the scenes, if you like.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
um, and it is going to happen, which I found uh, scary a couple of weeks ago,
Mm.
because instead of just a dream and I can just dream on forever,
Mm-hmm.
realize it's a reality.
Right.
And but I know I'm ready. I just I waver slightly and then get my balance again very very quickly after many years of being in the dark place.
Well, I do see you being a way shower, especially for men. That you're meant to be like a kind of a role model, exhibiting kind of the divine masculine essence, but doing it in a way that is not threatening to women as well. So I do see you in a kind of a way shower role. um, I think you had enough lifetimes where you were able to experience, the human suffering, the human condition and the human suffering, that now you have a really great understanding of it. And so now your role is shifting from, doing the third dimensional work into doing more fifth dimensional work. So what I'm seeing for you is that you're stepping into what you actually came here to do that you couldn't complete in your last life. You're actually going to be helping a lot of people, where because you're kind of at a vantage point where you're at. You'll be able to assist a lot of people that can relate to you probably more so than say somebody who's younger. I would say mostly older generation folks, but also some younger generation as well. Because they'll look up to you. So I don't know if that makes if that kind of is in alignment with what you're thinking about as far as the center that you're going to create. You're a people that you're action oriented people. When you think of something, it happens. You don't sit and I think mull over it for too long. You're an Aries sun sign, so you're definitely an action-oriented individual. You're somebody that when you think of something, you make it happen, and I think that's what you're doing right now with this center is you've thought about it enough. Now it's time, to put it into, put the physical to manifest it into physicality. So that's your next role is to get that center going. Now, are you offering healing in the center, or is it just or counseling, or a little bit of both, or
I refer to it as a healing center. It's for healing, but in a very down to earth, ordinary, everyday shit kick away. It's not esoteric, frightens people.
right?
Like you don't mention macrobiotic food, you mention food for healing or health
You're right, exactly, right,
because it scares people, especially in a small community like Guernsey. It's very, it can be very claustrophobic here.
right.
It's expensive here, so people say to me, "Why the fuck do you want to do it here when you can go and get 10 times more for your money just across the road in Europe?"
Mm-hmm.
It'd be so much easier in that respect, but more and more after many years of saying I'd never do it here, because it's so can be so stifling. There's a lot of red tape to get through. And I was just discussing this with some young people today who already have a centre set up. They are trying to extend the boundaries, and they just keep meeting blockages.
Okay.
So the very fact that I meet these people now, that we manifest each other,
Mm-hmm.
it just indicates to me that it's all in process. It's happening.
I
So
see you. I see you being able to open the center. You'll get past the red tape. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I don't see. I don't see where that's going to stop you. Okay, because this is what you came to do, and you will manifest it one way or the other. So it is going to happen. I like your simple approach because I think a lot of times, in the spiritual community, we tend to use a lot of woo woo terminology that scares people, or, they think, oh, this is voodoo or weird stuff. But when you break it down to just, healthy eating or healthy healthy thinking, or just maybe making some small shifts and changes, that can open up huge doorways for people, to be able to bring in more light into their existence. So and sometimes it just takes some small shifts and changes, or maybe just bringing this information down to their level, rather than, oh well, you guys have to ascend up to here before we'll work with you. You are someone that is, I would say, you've chosen to work with the everyday people. I personally don't do that. I work with people who are already been on the path for a while. My role is just to kind of help them align themselves more with their path. But you're somebody that has chosen through, I think you have a great compassionate heart, and because being Andromedan, you are definitely someone who is, highly spiritual and highly desiring to be of service to others. So, so you're definitely chosen to work with the everyday person, and through you working with them, they will be able to make the shifts and changes, and evolve within their own selves, as well as within their families. So you're not just healing that one individual, you're also, through indirectly healing their entire families, because they're going to be making shifts and changes, which will change their home environment, which will change their relationships. So this is the work that you're coming into doing, and it's a big job. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of how, I guess, how much responsibility there is behind doing this kind of work. Um, I do see that there will be some obstacles, like you mentioned before, but I see you being able to work through the obstacles, and you will have the center in on the island. I don't see you going on the mainland to do that. Um, and it'll start off small. It's going to be pretty grassroots. Very small, nothing real fancy, but it'll grow, and the people in your community will be glad, to have it there with, and have you there, with, providing that service for them. This is I think the lifetime out of all the lifetimes where you actually, I feel where you're feeling more aligned in doing what you always came here to do. I don't see you coming back to fifth dimensional Earth. You might choose to. um, I'm seeing higher probability that you'll end up returning to Andromeda after this lifetime, but it'll be a multi-function center, and I don't know if that's what you were envisioning, but I see it kind of transitioning into that. So it'll become like a family business.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because
I'm already involved many people from my past.
Mm-hmm.
But I see it becoming internationally acclaimed.
Oh yeah, it's going to grow. It'll start off real grassroots, but it'll grow. I do see, I see it expanding to the point where people around the world will know of your business. So yes, that is happening. It's happening as we speak, actually. The space that I see you first renting a space, and you're not going to really like the energy of the space, but it's just some place to start off, kind of like a stepping off point. But what I see you doing eventually is building your own center, where you're building it from the ground up, but you're going to be utilizing sacred geometry in building this new space. Uh, but I mean, this is not going to happen for a few years, because I see you right now just mainly just trying to establish a brick and mortar space. So you're going to probably rent something for a while. But the rent's going to be kind of high, and then you're going to somehow come across an abandoned space or something, like almost like an abandoned warehouse or some sort of abandoned space that nobody else really knows what to do with, but you will know what to do with because of your you know your your history with working with building and things like that. And then you're going to utilize a lot of sacred geometry in creating this new space. And just the sacred geometry that you're utilizing is going to, I think, really amp up the energy of this physical space. So there'll be people coming from all parts of Europe that will want to come and see your space because, or spend some time in your space because it'll just be really something unique and beautiful. So yes, it's the ball is rolling right now. But it will start off kind of rustic and small at first. It won't be quite so fancy. Um, but then after a while as the business grows, you're going to outgrow the space that you're going to first be in, and then you're going to utilize this new space or create this new space that's going to be pretty magnificent. I'm just seeing, I don't know, it's like something kind of circular. I don't know. That's what I'm seeing in the records, but yeah, it will be pretty neat.
Where are you from?
I'm Arcturian, so I'm from Arcturus.
You talk about guides, yeah, and Donnie also mentioned guides. I feel I have many guides with me continuously, and I tend to forget about them. Try to do it on my own, but they're always there, and they just give me a gentle nudge.
Yeah, you have a connection with the angelics, as well as you have quite a few Andromedan guides, and they're very tall, and they have kind of a bluish tone to their aura. So if you see a lot of blue, that's probably your Andromedan guides. Now your angelic guides have more of a golden white light. So and they don't have wings. I know a lot of people think of angelics as having wings, more of a third dimensional um, depiction of them, but they're just their energy is so bright and they're huge. I mean, as far as their physical size, they're huge. They look humanoid, and I think they appear humanoid to us so that we can, have a connection with them. But they're, especially the archangels, they're humongous. And then the angels that are higher than the archangels, they're like, I don't know. They're not even in physical form. It's hard to describe, but they look more like sacred geometry. But the archangels, you have a connection, obviously, with Archangel Michael. Your name is Michael. Um, Archangel Michael's more the protector, and he's the one that protects us from other darker energies. I see where you play that role also in with the people in your life. I also see a connection with Archangel Raphael because of the healing work that you're about to embark. Raphael is the divine healer, so you do have a connection with him as well. I actually see you having a connection with Archangel Zadkiel. He's more about transformation. Well, this is what you're trying to create here on in this reality is for people to have a means to transform their lives. So those are the three that you work with the most. But I see a whole host of angelic beings that are with you all the time. The Andromedans are I think individuals that came from your star lineage, ancestors. They all look very similar. They're very tall. They don't have much hair. They have kind of a bigger heads, slightly bigger heads. They look pretty human, but they have slightly bigger heads, and their eyes are slightly larger. But they look for the most part like men and women, but they just have an elongated quality to their physical type. So they're very lengthy looking. Uh, and I don't know how else to describe them physically, except their auras are very blue. There's women along with the men, or what I would call female beings. With the angelics, it's all kind of male angelics. I don't see any female angelics. So, but you have a mix with the Andromedans. And that's they've been helping me, kind of helping me help to guide me towards what is more applicable to you. Because sometimes when I see things in the records, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me unless I get some input. So, but I do see this will likely be your apex life here on Earth. I don't see where you'll continue on unless you choose to. Now, you always have a choice, and with the Akashic records, when we look at future timelines, it's usually in probabilities, not in not not so much in actuality, because we are free will beings and we can make choices. So if you choose to come back to Earth, you will be coming back to fifth dimensional Earth, not third dimensional Earth. Okay, so but I think there's a higher probability you'll choose to go back to Andromeda, because you do have an ongoing mission there as well. So much higher level. But your guides, I think, are very. What they're telling me right now is that they are very proud of the work you've done. They said you've always followed the higher path, and they're telling me that they're here to assist you with building this new center, and they will help you get through a lot of the red tape that you're facing right now. So somehow you'll be able to find some sort of loopholes or something to get to do what you need to do. So and they'll help to manifest that for you. A lot of the work that you're doing is you manifesting it. It's not so much them. They're just there to guide you. But they will help with some of the the blockages that are you're facing right now.
Chapel, what's the dark energy? What do I need to dodge, take care of, to?
What I'm seeing is there are some dark entities that are trying to stop you. Okay, so so I'm going to set an intention that, and I'm going to just do a real quick one here because we don't have a whole lot of time. But I do want to set an intention for you. And the thing that I'm going to, these are dark entities that are trying to, I think, block you from doing the work that you need to do. And it may manifest as, logistical blockages, or, I think things not quite, aligning themselves like they should, or, some glitches with time, that sort of thing. So what I'm going to ask your guides to do is to clear, heal, and replace any of these entities or attachments that are trying to stop you from doing what you're doing with your highest good in all dimensions, timelines, aspects, and lifetimes. So we are clearing pretty much anything that is going to stop you from doing what is going to be for the highest good of yourself and the highest good of all. So so we've set that intention in your records. These dark entities that I'm seeing are they are mostly reptilian in origins. Okay, so they're souls who have, or entities who have, I think, have tried, I think, to stop you in prior lifetimes as well. And I'm not saying this to get into fear mode. I mean, they're actually, I mean, you have a lot, you're a very powerful individual. Um, there's nothing to fear really, because once you face them, they'll run off. And you have the kind of the essence of Archangel Michael in your. You've worked with Archangel Michael quite a lot in your off-world lives, so it's just a matter of recognizing what they are and just being able to send them back from whence they came. So they're not really all that scary to deal with. They're just trying to, I think, trip you up when you're not paying attention, or when they think, they kind of try to trick you into thinking, oh, uh, in thinking it's something that it's not. So that's what I'm seeing with these dark entities. But yes, nothing to fear. You're an infinitely powerful person. You can deal with them quite easily. I'm able to deal with them. You can deal with them. You're Andromedan. You have that high level Andromedan energy. It's just a matter of recognizing them for what they are. And Michael, thank you so much for putting up with all of the disruptions today. I apologize for that and for your patience. I appreciate your patience in allowing me to facilitate this reading for you today. And I wish you a lot of love and success on your journey. But I have no doubt that you'll make it so. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Debbie.